So official start of Chatting with Charlie. This is August 14th, 2018. This is an installment number 3, also known as the reboot, or the first of our reboot. We went away from Chatting with Charlie for a while. But I feel it's important to do these things because I need to get my message out to people that I work with, and I also want to introduce experts in the field on the other side, which are real estate agents, so that we can bring more information. If you see the sign behind me, it says Mortgage Educator. That's what I do. Company is Norcom's Mortgage Force, and Craig Oshrin is our distinguished guest here. Craig has been a realtor for 4 years. Okay. Lives in Fairfield. He's got a cute little kid. How old is he now?
2 years old. Just turned 2. Yeah.
Okay. So he's got a family to support. And, you know, Craig, why don't you tell us in like 30 words or 40 words or less why you left the moving industry to come into the real estate business?
Well, I love networking and marketing. I love to help my clients negotiate great deals and bring a home purchase or a home sale to fruition, called the closing table. So I love helping buyers and sellers to navigate the real estate market. I love connecting with people on social media. I love promoting businesses and engaging with others in a meaningful way. And every great conversation, I always say, starts with coffee. Today it's kombucha.
Kombucha.
Cheers. Cheers.
Chatting with
cheers.
Kombucha. Yeah.
Hashtag. Cheers.
So you still have your foot a little bit into the moving business. You do some consulting work.
So Move Management Resource. My company is Sino Helpers Move Management. So I help some of my fellow agents that have their clients that are doing major moves, and you know, I believe that relationships with my fellow agents is so important. So sometimes they'll call upon me. A lot of my past clients, the senior community, some of the apartment communities. So again, those calls, they come in pretty much every day, and I just love connecting and helping people. And again, it's a great way to tell them what I do and why my services are so valuable, especially in the real estate realm.
Okay, so I've had the pleasure of working with some mutual clients with Craig over the last couple of years. I'm going to read you some of the feedback. This is actual live feedback that I've gotten from some of the clients. Craig is always available, and that's true. You pick up the phone, Craig will answer, and if he can't immediately answer, he's going to call you right back. Craig is ready with an answer and sound advice, and Craig is a true advisor to us throughout the whole home buying process. Not making this stuff, these are actual quotes. So we were talking over coffee, I think it was last month.
Yes.
And we're always talking about coffee, Craig and I. That's a passion of ours. And we got off onto a couple of different tangents, a couple of different topics, but the one topic that I thought really hit home with me and with him was a common thing, the pre-qualification versus a pre-approval. Now, they kind of sound the same because they both begin with pre, right? But there's a big difference between the pre-approval and a pre-qualification. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about the pre-qualification versus the pre-approval, just from the point of a lender. So pre-qualification is where your client, your buyer, you call your lender or mortgage broker and you give them some basic information over the phone, or maybe you're sitting in front of them and you give them your name and address and phone number and social security number and all the pertinent information that you need to fill out an application. And that person, that loan officer, is going to run your credit, and they're going to run an automated underwriting system, which is the same system that every lender in this country uses. And what's going to happen is, for lack of a better phrase, the automated system is going to spit out an approval. And that approval, that automated approval, gives your loan officer the authority to issue what's called a pre-qualification. So if you haven't brought your pay stubs and your W-2s and your bank statements to your loan officer, or your tax returns, if you're self-employed or getting commission income, a pre-qualification is what's going to be issued. And that means that I have reviewed your stated income and your stated assets, and I've actually looked at your credit, and based on that presumed information, I can pre-qualify you for a loan. Now, the difference between that and a pre-approval is when you provide the documentation that's needed for an underwriter to review and approve your loan. Your pay stubs, your W-2s, your bank statements, letters of explanation, etc. And those items will go to an underwriter. An underwriter will actually make a mortgage commitment determination and issue an actual approval on your mortgage. The only thing you're missing is your contract for a property to buy, the homeowner's insurance, the title work, and the disclosures that your lender needs to send you. Other than that, you're approved. So the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification, it's an assumption. of approvability, and a pre-approval is an actual approval. So I have a big question for you. Have you ever had a client that lost a bid on the house that they were buying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What happened?
So we had put in an offer.
Okay.
You know, I always say as agents, some of the most important relationships that we have are with our fellow agents, and our clients are, of course, always wanting us to get the best deal, which we should.
Right.
And that's always our goal. And when we made the offer, we came in too low. I recommended for them to come up. And so it's balancing the emotions and the economics. And so, yeah, we've lost out on deals before many times, and you know, you don't like seeing that, because it's a kick to the side. And then to get back up from that, because going through that process, you know, one of the first conversations I tell them to have is with their mortgage professional. And I'll make recommendations, and I'll say, here's how you can start that conversation, but we have to know where you're pre-approved for. You have to do this legwork now, so that way your emotions are going to take over when you're starting that search. And my job as a solid agent is to keep them balanced throughout the process.
Okay. And have you had clients that lost bids because they had a pre-qualification versus a pre-approval?
So I don't know pre-qualification. I've never put a pre-qualification with an offer. I've always put in a pre-approval, and I was always very, you know, stern with my clients that that's what we need to do, because I think the worst thing that you can do is take out a buyer who A, is not signed with you. That's not really a client of yours. That's more like called a customer, I think they said. And then the second part is that when you go to present an offer, they want to know who's your mortgage professional, how are you qualified, how much you put in. So these things are so important, and I think they're overlooked. It's like, yeah, I saw that house on Zillow, I want to go look at it. Well, that's great, but we need to make sure that your affairs, your financial affairs are in order before we go out and start that process.
Okay. So I've had examples recently where we've had clients who had the pre-approval done, and we've had clients who've had the pre-qualification done, because it's a choice. You don't have to do a pre-approval. You can choose to do a pre-approval. And I've had clients, for instance, recently in Newtown. I had 5 of my clients, 3 of which who had approval letters, and 2 of which had pre-qualification letters. Now, in this case, all 5 clients were all looking at the same property in Newtown with different agents. Not one of them got the bid, and that was because they were outbid by another client, by another buyer. But the moral of the story is that the 3 that had the pre-approval letters were being seriously considered versus the ones that just had pre-qualifications. In this market, since January of this year, it's been a seller's market. And you know, a couple of years ago when we were doing this, pre-qualification was all you needed because there wasn't so much activity. Now everybody wants to buy a house, and everybody's looking at the good houses that are on the market. There's low inventory, so the good houses that present themselves get swept up and get purchased fast, and they're usually going to people that have been pre-approved versus pre-qualified, because the sellers want to be sure that that buyer is going to be able to buy that house, not just a potential promise.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in your opinion, you always ask for a pre-approval.
Absolutely.
If you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, you work with a lot of different clients, but you may come across a situation where all they have is a pre-qualification and they haven't taken the steps. And maybe they're in the process of taking the steps to get a pre-approval,
Yeah.
but right now they only have a pre-qualification. They want to buy a house now.
Yeah.
They want to put an offer in. That could present a challenge to you as a listing agent or as a buyer's
Yeah,
agent.
and this might sound unpopular, I wouldn't take them out.
You wouldn't take them out?
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't. And again, just depending on the conversation, I don't know that I'd be like, I'm not taking you out, but I would want to get on the phone with their mortgage professional, and hopefully that's you, and I would want to make sure that we've gone through the due diligence process of making sure that they're qualified, appropriate qualified, because you said something, is pre-approval is going to be more seriously looked at than a pre-qual. So pre-qual is nothing to get excited about, because there's still contingencies on both that have to be met, even more so on a pre-qual versus a pre-approval, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So knowing that, I'm telling my clients, why do we want to start further behind the gate? So if we're going to start at a disadvantage, way behind the pre-approvals, that's not a good use of their time and mine.
Right, so as a professional, you
You
want to be as sure as possible for your clients that
Absolutely.
they're going to be successful.
Because if it doesn't go well, they're looking for somebody to be angry at. And I will be on that list, and I don't want to be on that list.
Yeah.
I want to be on the nice list, not the naughty list.
Okay. So the moral of the story is if you're a buyer out there, you want to talk to your lending partner, your loan officer, your banker, etc., and get yourself pre-approved if possible. That will make you a stronger buyer, especially in this really competitive market, and will up your chances for being able to buy a house versus being just considered and thrown off to the side. So just to cut this short, Craig, I wanted to thank you. My brother's name is Greg. I wanted to thank you for being the first guest in the reboot of the Chatting with Charlie.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you.
And I know for a fact that your clients appreciate the hard work and the advice that you give them. And I would like to invite you back for another opportunity to come talk with us about another topic in the future. And if you want to connect with Craig, he is Craig Oshrin, and give him your
So
tagline.
you guys can connect with me at Craig Oshrin Realtor on Facebook, or just Craig Oshrin, and then on Instagram it's Craig O Realtor. And my tagline is every great conversation starts with coffee. So please, my fellow agents or anyone out there possibly looking to get into the market, feel free to give me a call, 203-856-6851. And Charlie, thank you so much.
My pleasure. And one last thing, if you'd like to be a guest on Chatting with Charlie, this is open to realtors and also my clients, past and present, as well as insurance agents. Anybody who'd like to talk about mortgage or mortgage-related topics, we'll have you on. Next week, we're going to have Dave Landau from RE/MAX Right Choice of Newtown. He's going to come and talk about, we haven't set a topic yet. So we'll be talking about an important topic about real estate and finance, and thanks for watching.